There is a mandatory requirement for all DBS basic, standard and enhanced checks to include an identity check and a current address check. Effective 1st of January 2022, employers now have a choice of how they can carry out these identity and address checks. They can choose to carry out remote, digital identity and current address checks using a government-certified identity service provider such as Trust ID, or they can continue to ask candidates to attend a face-to-face interview where candidates are required to provide physical identity documents and further documents that confirm their current address. Employers can visit the DBS website to confirm the number and types of identity documents and proof of address documents that are needed for the 3 levels of DBS face-to-face checks. The candidate is sent an email with a request to verify their identity. The verification process will begin once the candidate clicks on the link labelled "Click here to get started." This process will need to be completed on a smartphone. If the candidate opens the email on a computer, they can use their phone to scan the QR code. The candidate will then be taken to the first page of the process, which outlines what is required to complete the identity verification check. Once the candidate is happy to proceed, click on the Get Started button. They are taken to the consent page, which contains a link to the Trust ID privacy policy. Once the candidate is happy with the information, click on the I consent button. The candidate will then be asked if their document contains an NFC chip, with an image describing the identification for a document with an NFC chip. The only documents eligible for the H1A route are biometric passports or a biometric national identity card. If the candidate holds an identity document which is biometric, their document will contain an NFC chip. Please note, a BRP cannot be used for this process. The next step is checking whether the candidate's document is in date. If the document is in date, the candidate will click Yes. The candidate will now be asked to download an app which will be needed in order to read the NFC chip later in the process. Within this page is a video explaining how to conduct the check itself, which the candidate is recommended to watch before downloading the app. Once the candidate has watched the video provided, they should now download the app from their respective app store. Please note, the candidate does not need to open the app. They should simply return to the identity verification process and click on the Get Started button. The candidate now needs to choose which document they wish to upload. This must be either a biometric passport or biometric national identity card. Please note, a BRP card cannot be used for this process. The candidate will now be asked to take a photo of their identity document and will be presented with a range of useful tips on how to take the best image, ensuring the full document is in view and avoiding things like glare and obstructing any important information. When the candidate is ready to take the image, click on the Upload Image button. Take a photo of the identity document using the smartphone. Please note, a live image is required, and candidates will not be able to upload an existing image saved to their camera roll. The second part of the process will ask the applicant to take a selfie so Trust ID can perform a liveness check of the individual. Allow access to camera. The candidate will follow the instructions on screen and the technology will carry out a 3D scan of the face. The candidate may then be prompted to provide their address by simply typing in their postcode and selecting their address from the drop-down menu. They will have the option to edit the address or continue if they are happy with the chosen address. The final stage of the process asks the candidate to scan the chip within their biometric document. If the app has not yet been downloaded, the candidate will have the option again to download the app. After clicking "Click here to scan your chip," the app will automatically open and ask the candidates to select the appropriate identity document. The candidate will need to scan the document. A graphic will display on the screen explaining how to complete the scan. When they are ready, click Next. Allow access to the camera and scan the photo page of the identity document. The chip within the document will now need to be read. Click Start Reading and then hold the smartphone over the identity document for the chip to be read. Hold the phone still while completing the check. Once all of the blue circles are filled, the chip opening is complete. A summary page of the data and photos taken will be presented. Click Continue and Proceed outside app and return to the browser used when the check started. The final page presents the end of the process and the candidate has completed their check. The candidate's completed identity and address check is then sent to Trust ID to ensure the details of the check adhere to the DBS digital scheme standards. Trust ID uses a combination of technology and, if needed, expert document analysts to validate the check details. In most instances, the completed check report will be sent to the employer within 2 hours of the candidate completing their check.